will share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, yes.
So this morning we will continue this tutorial about SpecFEM 2D. Just to remember, in the last session we have downloaded SpecFEM 2D and install it and then compile it. Then, as I told you, we will run 4 different examples. So last day, we have begun to run this first model, which is a model with a flat topography and homogeneous medium. And today we will explore the free-over case. So we have spent a lot of time on the input parameters, which modify some files to run a correct simulation. Then we have launched the code. So let me go to the directory, sorry. Okay, so here, mine is here. So this is the directory. So data which contain input parameters, specifically this file, par file, and source, and then station file has been created by the code. And output files has appeared here. So here we have the output seismogram for the 11 stations. So the configuration was that one. So source is here, and we have at the surface 11 stations like that, so 1 to 11. And for each station, we have the results for 2 components. So horizontal component along X like that, and a vertical component along Z like that. And also the code has output a lot of image, and with this image we have generate a video. So video is here. I have included it inside the presentation. So just let's run it again. Sorry. Okay, so this is really a simple model. And also remember one thing really important. Here, the simulation is made for PSV wave only. But we can also choose to make a simulation for SH wave. Now, we will today analyze the seismograms we have obtained. So as you can see here, seismograms are in that format. So let me open a terminal and go to my folder, so SpecFEM 2D output files. And I will open one just to take a look how this file is. So this is really simple. This is a 2-column file. So this first column is for time, and this second column is for amplitude. So here, this is a simulation in velocity. But so if you want to make a plot of this seismogram, of course, you can do something really simple. Open Python or MATLAB or whatever you want, and just read this file and represent amplitude as a function of time. And you will be able to see the seismogram for each station and each component. But here...
Excuse me.
Yes?
The data you projected, if you can go there, if you can go to the data.
Yes. Oh, data directory, you mean?
Yeah, yes. You showed us data for the time and the amplitude.
Okay, you mean in the output?
Yes, yes.
seismograms. Okay. Yeah. If you want, I can open again one file.
I was seeing 000 for the amplitude. That's why.
Oh, you will see this is just the beginning, but if I scroll down,
Okay.
you will, okay, maybe a little bit down.
Okay.
Just let me, the beginning is 0 amplitude, you know, before the earthquake arrived to the station.
Mm.
And then you can see here, you are at the beginning. Maybe I can go somewhere. Just let me go down. Yeah, still 0, sorry. But
Okay,
you will see.
I have got it now.
Yes, here.
I've got my. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you will see it when we will represent the seismogram. Okay.
Okay.
Let me exit this file. But today I will propose to convert these files to another format, which is SAC format. So I don't know who has already heard about this format. This is a file format specific to seismology. It's quite old. So this is old-fashioned to use data, but this is really really widely used by seismologists. That's why today I want to present to you this format. So maybe just to begin, I will go on internet and just show you which is SAC. So SAC, like that. You can add seismology if you are searching for it. So SAC means seismic analysis code. So this is a code that you can download on your computer. So here you can download it, but to download it for your computer, for example, here, if I click on download, you will have to fill first some little information, just your name and your email. And then you specify on which type of exploitation system you are using, and then send submit request, and you will receive the code during the same day. This is just few minutes or hours, and you will get it. Then you can install it on your laptop. There is also a manual. So I have downloaded it with all the things you can do with this software. So this is both the name of a file format specific to this code, and this is also a code that you can use to plot your seismograms, but also to make some really useful things like you can filter, you can go from velocity to acceleration, and a lot of things. You can also make some analysis in frequency, so a lot of things. So if you are interested, you can download it and download the manual, and you will see it's really useful. So today, I just want to convert these output files, which are the output files of SpecFEM, into SAC format. And then we will read all this file inside MATLAB, inside SAC, sorry. So to do so, I will open MATLAB. So maybe first, let me just, so in MATLAB, I will open my code. Sorry. MATLAB. So I've just write a little code which name is convert SM file to SAC. I will open it. Also now I will move my output files of SpecFEM inside a new sorry. So just let me copy the 11 results. Okay, where is copy? Sorry, I'm not able to see where. Sorry. Do that. Okay. So now files are here inside this directory, and just this is really a simple code. First, I have to add the path to a library which allow MATLAB to use some function to read or to write SAC file formats. So it's here. So you have some function. I will send it to you because maybe one day it could be useful to you to have it. Then I indicate to MATLAB the place where my data are. So here, this is a directory path. Then inside my directory, so this one, I want to create a directory that will contain all the output files in SAC format. Then I will make a loop over the 11 station. I indicate, so name in is the name of the output file. So for example, this one. And name out will be the name of the output file, so in SAC. Then I read each file. So you can see first column is time, second column is amplitude. Then I will convert it in SAC format and write the output. So first I will launch this small code for the component X. So let me launch it. This is really fast. Okay, and all the new files appear here. I will also do the same for the other component. Of course, here I am doing it manually, but you can also make a loop over your component, you know. This is not really important. So let me launch the second one, okay, for the other component. Okay, that's fine. So now we have our files here in SAC format. Now let me open again my, let me open another terminal. Okay, beautiful pink terminal. And let me go inside this, for example, this directory, and you will take a look to the output seismograms. Okay, SAC files. Okay, all is here. So I have already installed SAC inside my computer. So just to call SAC, I just type that, and it will open here this software inside my terminal. Then I will indicate to SAC that I want to read all the files inside this directory. So just to tell I want to read all the files, I put R for read, and all the files I will put a wildcard, and it read all my files. Then I will represent all. So P for plot. Sorry, I have just sorry. Sorry, just exit. Okay, and I will indicate that I want to represent all the 11 seismogram on the same plot to compare it. Okay. So let me just make the window a little bit great. This one useful, I can indicate that I want to have the same axis for all the seismograms. Okay, so now amplitude is scale, and it's the same for all. And also I will just zoom maybe on the interesting part of the seismogram, between 0 and 4, for example. Okay, so I will put that. So here we have seismograms for component X, so like that, for each station. So station 1 to station 11. So station 1 is here, then 2, 3, 4, up to 11. And you can see here the shape of the waveform we obtain for each station for this horizontal component. And you can see clearly first, we have the first wave, P wave that arrives, and then second waves here. If I run the video at the same time, you can imagine what we obtain for each station. So first wave and second wave. So this is really a simple simulation. So as you can see, this is really a simple waveform like that. This is not, it doesn't look like to a real seismogram of earthquakes. Of course, this is really simple. So, okay, this is the first things we have done. We can exit SAC. Okay, now we have taken a look to this first example. Now maybe we can move to another example. So this one, which is the second one, we will add. So this is the same medium, but we will add topography. Let me go to the directory. So first, we will, so let me move the preceding files. So the first case was flat homogeneous. So I do not want to erase it, so I will keep it here. Now we will move this to this one. So topography homogeneous, I will move it here. And we will take a look to this file. What is modified here on that part? I guess this is almost the same file. You know, the only things we have modified is that we indicate another is here. The only modification is here. Is that now we have the same medium, but we have just modified this file that contains topography. So with a new name inside mesh directory. All the rest of this file is the same. This is the same also for source file, okay? Source is the same location and same properties. Now just go to mesh directory and take a look to this file. And now, so I will open the other one, which was this one. So you can see the difference now, okay? So we have two interface, so bottom and surface. So bottom, of course, is the same. Okay. Oh, this is strange, but no problem. Here, in the first example, it was flat, so only 2 points are sufficient. But now we want a topography, so we will just indicate some points, you know, with different values, and we can create this shape. So just with that. And number of elements along vertical direction remains the same. So we have input files, and we will run the simulation. So first, let me remove all the stuff that the output directory contain. So I will remove it. So be careful when you use rm-rf function. Sometimes it could be something really bad and you can erase all your directory. Okay, and it will be faster. Okay, so now we are ready. And we will first run this one. So for the mesh, oh, sorry, we have an error. Let it finish. Okay, I have stop it. Just let me search where is the problem. Maybe because of that. I really hope that this is it. No, sorry, I don't know why this. I really don't know why there's an error here. Let me check where could be a problem. It's quite usual to have some issue when you run a program. Sometimes things not open, not run properly. So let me search. Let me compare with the other one to see if all is okay. Okay, so there is some differences. Anyway, sorry. Just wait a minute, I will check. Okay. In fact, input file, I really think that I have modified it, but I realize not. No, maybe it's now could be. Okay, just let me check this one. I think it's okay. So let's try and let's see if now, sorry. And this is really a pity because it does not indicate what error we have. I'm sorry. No, nothing. I do not have information about my error. Really don't know what happened. Sorry, it's really better when things run properly, but this is not the case here, and I do not understand why. Maybe let's try another example. Or maybe just to check, maybe we can test if the one of Tuesday is good. Just to see. Okay. So this one is good. So I don't know. Okay. So the first example of Tuesday ran properly. So I don't know why the second one is not okay. It will finish. So maybe no need to spend too much time. I do not understand why it does not run properly. So, but I have somewhere the results. So I will show you directly what we expect to obtain. So here we have the four different videos for the different configuration. So maybe let me open this one. If the code has run properly, this is not the case today, I'm really sorry for that, but you will obtain this one. So tuple homogeneous case. So let me open it. Okay, and let's run it. Okay. So you can see this is really interesting to see the difference between the different cases. So just to remember how this one looks like, first example, so really simple, okay. So nice. And now this one.
Can you hear me?
And you can see this is quite more complex when we introduce this topography, okay? So this is for this example. Now, maybe we can take a look to this example. So now we come back to, so let me close this one because SpecFem do not want to run today, so no problem, we close it. And now let's take a look to this one. So this is flat topography again, but with some layers. So here is the velocity model. So I took 3 different layers, which looks like to the example I've shown you for the application to Trieste. If you remember, in Trieste, we have some limestones, we have also some flysch, and also inside the city, we have some sediments. So I took the same geological units and put it like that. This is quite a crude example, but just to have some examples. So for each layer, we have to indicate velocity for P waves and S wave and density, and it's quite different for each geological unit. And here in the input parameters, what is modified inside the input parameters. I will show you. So source will be the same, but we will modify some information to add this layer inside the model. So the beginning is the same, but the most important part will be here. If you remember, last day, velocity and density models, when a model was homogeneous, number of models was 1, and here we have only 1 line. But here we want to have 3 different layers. So here, number of models is 3. And for each layer, we add information about VP, VS, and density. So you can see here the value. This column, so model 1, so this one, sediments, we have density, VP, VS, then second line is for fish, so density, VP, VS, etc. Okay. Also, another thing which is modified is for the mesh. Because as you can see, we have introduced another interface. Before, we have only, in homogeneous case, we have only bottom and surface. But now we also have to indicate to the program this interface, these two interfaces, this one between limestones and flesh, and this one. I add some topography for this interface inside the geological model between flesh and sediments. And I have to indicate all this information to the program. So let me open this file. And now you can see we have more layers. So this one, so 4 different: bottom, layer 1, 2, and surface. So bottom, here we keep the same. This interface between limestones and flesh with some shape. Then second one, and then topography at top of the mesh if I want to add one. And also I have to indicate for each part number of elements I want to have in each part. So here for a total of 60 elements along Z, I indicate to the program that I want to have 20 for each layer. So 20, 20, 20. So we are good. We have 60 elements along a vertical direction. And that's it. So I will not run the program today because it's not okay, but I will show you the results in terms of video. So this is this one. So let's run it and it continues again to rebound. So here the main difference is on that example, this is really simple. You can see only some refraction at the surface. But here you can see waves are not reach the surface, but at each interface, waves will behave at each interface, and it's really complexified the shape of the seismogram. Now, when you see that in action in the video, you can imagine how complex will be the seismogram at surface compared to this case. Because here, okay, first interface, second interface, then surface, and then wave which came back also have some reflection again and again. And that's why when we have this kind of lithological side effects, both amplitude and also time of the seismogram will be really amplified. And now you can really realize it with that example. It's really much more complex. Okay, really longer in time. Let me close it. And now we have the last example, which is really dramatic because we have a combination of both topography here
So,
at the surface.
sorry,
Yes.
sorry, Professor. With the model 3,
Yes.
with the 3 layer, how can I measure deflect? I mean, how can I measure deflect of each layer?
You can. You mean how can you measure what reflection?
Reflection of each layer.
You can do it, you know, theoretically. You use the wave equation for P wave, and you can do the same also for S wave, and you can do it theoretically. But yeah, with some studies, maybe you have done that on your preceding course. I do not know where you can compute it, but of course this is better to do it with the computer, less complication, but you have a way to do that. This is a long time I do not do that, but I remember my course in master, and we have some way to see impact of that.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So last example, so combination of topographic effect and site effect. So let's see what we obtain. Yes, topography with layers. Okay, so one interesting part is that one. You can see when the waves arrived, so already really complex because of the different lithological layers. But one interesting thing is here, if we focus on the topography, we can see, you know, focusing of wave because of this topography. Okay, so this is quite interesting to see it in action inside the video. Just to answer you, this is not your question, but if you remember, I just remember something about that. If you remember the course of it was last week, I just have in the introduction talk about site effect, and specifically in this kind of configuration, so 2D. And one parameter that you can compute, of course, really in a simple way. So maybe let me just open it. It could be, because it's really simple, and it could be useful when you want to have an estimation of the effect. So this is not a computation, of course, of reflection and reflection coefficient or something like that, but it could be useful to analyze. So let me go to the document of last week, and just on that part. Okay, here when you have two 2 layers like that. If you know velocity waves, yes, the velocity of the waves of both medium here, and if you know the thickness of your sediments, you can compute with a really simple equation the fundamental frequency of your site effect, which means, as you can see here, let me go down in the results. Sorry, just let me find it. You can compute that. You can compute at which frequency you can expect to have a peak of amplitude. So it's quite useful. This is just this is just a simple relation between thickness of your sediments and velocity inside the sediments, and you deduced fundamental frequency of your site effect. So now let's come back here. So I have shown you the video of the results for the 4 different configurations. Now we can do something else. So maybe just let me open a terminal. So I have extract for each example the seismograms of station 5. Okay, so station 5 is that one. You can see my mouse here. So here, this one, here, this one, which is just on the top of topography, this one, for each example. So let me go here. Sorry, maybe a bit here. It's better. Okay, so let me go to this directory. So maybe just let me explain to you. So for each example, I took station 5 results and both components, so vertical and horizontal. Horizontal is X, vertical is Z. So let me, and I have already converted it in SAC format. So let me open SAC. And I will read the results for all the horizontal component for the 4 example. Okay, so now let's take a look to the results. So first one here on the top is this one, flat homogeneous, so example 1. Second one is flat with layer, so this one is this one. This one here is this one. And this one here is this one. So you can see it's quite interesting. Maybe we can do something is scale all the seismogram. Okay, does not change so much. So first, let's analyze these results. So this is for horizontal component like that for this station 5. So this one was the first one, really simple, P wave, S wave, okay. Then this one here is not, we cannot observe really such a great difference. Let me do maybe something just to take care of this specific case. just to compare in that case, okay, homogeneous, but just with a topography. We can focus on both. Sorry, which is the name? So let me open SAC again, but read only okay, flat homogeneous case and okay, next, and topo homogeneous case. And we can just to see where is the difference, because in the first view like that, I can see, so put the same scale. Okay, then maybe zoom only on that part, which is the most interesting. So maybe between 0.5 to 4. Let me do it. So this is not so different. One difference is just a little delay, because station is a little bit, has an elevation a little bit higher. So this is just a time difference between surface. Its surface will be here like that, or here. Just a little difference, but the shape is quite the same. Maybe a difference here, you can see, but not so different. Okay. But here now, the most interesting example and the configuration which adds really a great difference is to introduce these layers. You can see here between this example here, flat homogeneous, so this one, and here flat but with layers, which is this one. Difference in terms of waveform is really huge, as you can see. So amplitudes are a little bit, well, maybe amplitudes are the same, but here really the difference is seismograms really last longer. And I guess if we analyze it in frequency, we will obtain really something different with some characteristic patterns of side effect. Now we can compare specifically this case with this case. So same geological layers, but here flat and here topography. Because if you remember here between this one and this one, difference it's not really huge. But here between this one and this one, we can observe some difference. Maybe combination of lithological side effect and topographical side effect has produced something quite different. So maybe we can do that. We can just observe these two examples. So flat with layers, okay, and topo with layers for X components. So, okay, so now we have quite a difference in the shape of the waveform, and little bit interesting. Amplitude here for this pack of wave, it's quite different at the beginning, little bit higher compared to here. And also we can observe a difference here on that part. This is not the same shape. So it's quite interesting, this example. Okay, so I think we have done all the different example. Do you have some question about these results or about SpecFEM 2D or something else?
Please, Professor. Yes, I have just one question.
Yes.
I don't understand why at the end of each simulation we have that noise. I
Oh,
mean, yeah.
this is, we call it numerical noise. To be honest, I do not know exactly where does it come from. I cannot give you a clear answer, but it's just we call it numerical noise. I don't know. I cannot explain clearly what is the issue. Mm. But in a more complex, maybe here because we have done everything really fast, maybe we can turn some parameters inside the input files to remove it. Here, this is really a fast example, but of course, when we do it for a more complex example, like with PECFEM 3D, we really have to be careful about that and absolutely do not have this kind of numerical noise that will pollute all your results, specifically in terms of frequency content, etc. So here, this is just because this is a crude example. But of course, if you want to do the things properly, you have to come back to your input parameter files and take care of all the parameters. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So if you do not have, yes, you have another question?
No, I just says thank you.
Okay. Now, maybe just let me explain to you. So if we have finished with that, so I will send to you this presentation about SpecFEM, and I will also send to you the results, so seismograms and videos we have produced. So okay, videos and also the seismograms and also the MATLAB library. So MATLAB here, library to read and write SAC files, and also this one to create video and this one to convert a simple 2-column file with time and amplitude to a SAC file. Of course, you can also do that in Python. And I guess if you search on internet how to read SAC files and to write SAC files with Python or to create video, you will find some interesting tutorial to do that in Python. And now maybe I can show you something which is quite different. So let me close everything. Because one thing is why I show you why I show you how to use SAC. I show you SAC because in fact a lot of seismologists think that this is a quite old-fashioned way to do things in seismology, you know, to use SAC function inside the terminal. But you will realize when you manipulate seismological data that SAC format is quite a lot used. One example that I can show you is how to manipulate, how to download some data for specific earthquakes and how to, and why we use SAC. Because in fact, here, I can go to this website, name is AIDA, but I'm searching, so it's AIDA offers. So AIDA is from European Integrated Data Archive. So this is a website where we can download data from specific earthquakes that occurred in Europe. So here, this is a network of stations you can see in Europe, and more than Europe also, you can see. And for example, you can go here. This is web interface, so it's quite user-friendly. way to explore data and download it. And maybe just let's search an example of earthquakes. So you know, in March, an earthquake occurred in Greece. So maybe we can search for data for this earthquake. Why not? So it was in March, but I do not remember exactly the date. So let me just put March. It was the magnitude 6 something, but I do not remember. So let me put minimum magnitude of 5. And it was quite superficial, so I can reduce here. Now I can search by location in the map. So I do not remember the values for Greece, but this is something like between in longitude. Okay, I do not remember. Here, let me put something like that. Almost. No, maybe I can put 20. Okay, let's do search like that. So I indicate here to search inside the catalog for a date in March for a minimum magnitude of 5. For superficial, I can reduce again. Okay, like that. Superficial earthquake inside this geographic zone. Let me search. And okay, I obtain a lot of earthquakes for Greece. So you can see here. And so here, the main shock, magnitude 6.3 and all the aftershock. But I am interested only by the main shock. So let me just unselect all and just get this one. So I have the earthquake. Now I want data. Imagine I can have a project to make something with this earthquake or analyze data. So I want to get all the seismograph for this earthquake. So I have selected the earthquake now. I have to explore on which station it has been recorded. Maybe I can explore only station for Greece. So here, this is the part you have to fill to search for station. So all type of networks, but you can select also a different type. So permanent networks or temporary networks, but let me just this one. You can also search by a network code. So here, in that case, all networks which have an asterisk here are a non-permanent network. And sometimes when you have this symbol here, plus symbol, it means that temporary networks can be restrict access. So when you will want to download the data for the specific networks of station, you will be asked a password. So this is restricted. You cannot download this data. So let me go down and I will search for the Greek network. So Greek network is this one, Hellenic Seismic Network. So I will select only this network. And let me search station for quite different. So let's search. Okay, so I have all these stations here for the Greek network. But of course, all the stations have not recorded the earthquake. For example, here, so this is a list of stations belonging to this network, and all with R in red are in fact not operational. Only this one with O are operational. Okay, so here's the list. We obtain 112 stations. Now, let's submit a request to download the data. So you can put origin time, end of origin time, and then you can select different format, but because you may want to have the seismogram, so waveforms, and the format will be miniseed. Or maybe you just want to have information about station. So if you want only information about station, just select this one. But here I want to have the seismograms. So let me select this one, and then I can submit my my request. So normally I will obtain for all the available station here the recordings of these earthquakes, Greek earthquakes, magnitude 6.3. Let me go here to download data. So it's downloading. And you have seen a format of my data will be miniseed, which is also a format which is largely used by seismologists. You have also another format which is full seed, and the name is .seed, and it contains both seismograms and also response files that you can use to remove the instrumental response from your seismograms. It could be really useful if you want to do a proper analysis of your seismogram, but here it's kind of reduced seed format, so mini seed only contains waveform, but not correct from instrumental response. So just keep in mind if you want to use it. So it's almost finished, but let's just wait some seconds. Okay, it's almost finished. But this is not the only one website that you can use to retrieve data, of course. Okay, so it's finished. Let me save it, okay? And also let me just show you here, if I click, we can see with some station for which I have a forbidden access, so I will not have data for this station. Also, we have some station for which we have no data for this earthquake, okay? Then in green, it's okay. We will obtain data. Okay, so here's the list. Great. So now let's take a look to that. Oh, this is strange. I cannot close it. No, this is a bug of website. Okay. So let's go here. It put it in download. So let's go to, sorry, download. So my file is here. Now I can now do, because you know I obtain this file, but I cannot open it. So now I have to use one function, which is, the name is mseed2sac. So you can download it on internet. Just type seed2sac. So this is a short program that can allow you to transform this file, miniseed, to SAC files. So it's quite useful because with this one, we can do nothing. I also told you that there is also the full seed format. When you download data on internet and you have full seed format, so full seed format is name of the file will be like that. You can use this function, which is read seed. And you can also download it on internet, RDSeed. So just remember it if one day you will need to use this kind of file. Okay, so let me use mseed2sac and apply it to my file here with the Greek data. So let's run it. Okay, and it's great. I have obtained all different SAC files for this earthquake. So here you can see for each station. So here, name of the network, Hellenic network, name of the station, and we have data for the three component of motion. So it's east, west component, north, south component, and vertical component. So maybe we can go back. Oh, I forgot. Let me go back to Hellenic network just to understand where the stations are. Okay, let's go on the map. Let me zoom on it. Maybe we can search one station could be close to the event. So sorry, it had erased all, but let me just search for the earthquake. Again, 5. Yes, and between okay. Okay, so let's zoom. Now we have the earthquake, so let's zoom on it, and maybe we can just search the closest station and take a look to the recording. So this one, I guess, will be interesting. So Gina station. So let's open SAC again and read the data for this station. Let's see. Okay, beautiful. So we have seismograms here. Okay, great. This is beautiful. Maybe just zoom on the interesting part containing the earthquake, and also be careful. As I told you here, the scale is not real scale because we have not removed the response of the instrument. So this is quite crude recordings of the earthquake. Amplitude are not really relevant here. So let's zoom on this part. So between 100 and 200, and you can see this earthquake here on that station. This is quite a beautiful recording. Okay, station here is near. Okay. As I told you also, sometimes when you download data, you have seen we have result for a lot of station. Maybe a lot of this station has not recorded properly the earthquake and could not be useful for a study. So maybe just let's open SAC again. We can focus on accelerograms. So here we have two kinds of station. We have accelerograms here, which you can recognize in the name of the file with the name here, HN. All HN are accelerograms, but we have also broadband station, HH here. So here, these stations are in velocity. So maybe just now focus on the accelerograms with HN. So I will tell to SAC to read only HN stations. So it's quite a lot. And just take a look fastly to the result. So you can see we have a lot of stations for which results are quite bad. For example, this one, you can see it's totally not usable, this one also, but this one is quite fun. So let's take a look. Okay, some are really, really bad, but maybe if you filter, you will obtain something that you can use. Okay. Also, okay, that's it for all the recordings. Maybe I can show you last function of what you can do with SAC. Maybe I can just. I'm just searching for a station that could be interesting for us. Sorry. Which one I can take? Just to choose one. I don't know which one I can choose. Maybe I do not remember. Okay, maybe just choose the. Sorry. So I will come back here and take a look to the recordings, and we will choose one that could be fine. Oh no, I can't see the name. Maybe just like that. No, maybe this one we have chosen before is the best. Okay. So let's come back to the recordings of Gina Station. Beautiful name. So just read here in SAC all files we have for these stations and only for accelerogram. No, we don't want. Why? Let me add that. Okay, so we have 3 files. Let me represent it. So here we can see accelerograms. So this is in acceleration. But you can see we have the main shock, and later we have also the recordings of aftershocks here, here, here. And sometimes when we want just to analyze the main shock, we want to cut the recordings. So let me show you one function, which is how to cut. Just first, maybe limit the scale just to see if it's okay. Okay, if we zoom only on this time scale between 100 and 300, it's okay. We have removed the aftershock. So we can cut inside this part. So cut and read again to make the cut operational and write the change. Okay, let me quit SAC and then read it again. And normally now you will have only the cut files containing only the main shock. Okay, beautiful. So here we are in acceleration. But sometimes we want to analyze the seismogram in terms of velocity or displacement. So to go from acceleration to velocity, we can integrate this signal. So to integrate, just type int. And now if I plot again, I will have, oh, sorry, maybe I have to filter before. So let me read again. Okay, so here again. Maybe we can filter here. So here, when I tap this is a high pass filter. So I will tell the code to only keep all the part of the seismogram which have a frequency above 0.1 Hertz. Okay, and I can also low pass, I don't know, maybe 5 Hertz. Let's see what we obtain. So we have high pass and low pass between, now we will obtain seismogram between 0.1 Hertz to 5 Hertz. Okay, and we have it. Let's try to integrate. I don't know if, okay, so now we have velocity and something really not beautiful at the beginning, but this is also due because this is crude seismograms. We have not removed the instrumental response. So here, this is just to show you the functionality of SAC to manipulate seismograms, because this is a way really fast. When you have a little bit of mastering of site, you can manipulate your results really, really fast. But this is not a proper way. If I want really to use this data to do something, to do research study, of course, first I will remove instrumental response. But here I have integrate one time acceleration to velocity. So now I have velocity. Maybe let's integrate a second time to obtain displacement. Okay, great, we have displacement. So this is not really beautiful, but now you have an idea how to do that. Let me read again the data. I will show you a last thing. Okay, maybe now we can also analyze it in terms of frequency. So let me do a fast Fourier transform this with that. Okay. Let me. Why? I don't know why. We keep, okay, I remember. We have done a fast Fourier transform, and we will tell the code to keep only amplitude and not phase. And now I guess it will be okay. So this is linear scale, so this is not really useful. Put it in logarithm scale. And now you have the spectrum of the earthquake. So maybe we can limit the scale between these frequencies. No, it's not enough. Okay, so this is quite interesting to take a look to the seismograms in terms of spectrum. So here, this is the acceleration spectrum, because you have seen first when you have here the seismogram, it looks like beautiful, but in fact, when you put it in frequency, you can see that you have a gap here. So for a seismological study, in fact, this recording here for this component, you cannot use it, because you can see here the frequency content. There's something in the content of your file which is not correct, not good. So this is quite relevant to do this kind of analysis before using your seismogram. So okay, here you can see your seismogram in frequency. And with SAC, you can do a lot of different, really fast operation on your seismograms. But of course, so just to conclude, of course, you can do all of that in a more modern way using MATLAB. And now most of people are using Python and OpSpy library. So all of that, you can do it with Python, of course, but here, this is another way. So this is, I know, old-fashioned, but could be useful one day for you if you want to do some research in seismology. And okay, so I think that's it. Remember also the name of this website. It could be also one day useful to grab some data from earthquakes. But each country has its own website where you can download data. Here it's limited to Europe, or also limited to some global data, but to specific networks. So all is not here. If you are searching data for other part of the world, you will have to search for another data provider. But this one is quite interesting. And this with this web service, it's look like user-friendly, because most of the time when you want to get data from internet, you will have to do it inside your terminal with some command line, with, for example, GET protocol or curl protocol, which is something different. Or sometimes also data, of course, are not freely available, and you will have to contact institute directly to get data. So, okay, maybe do you have some question to me? No. No question? So let me come back to your face. Okay, it's a pity only one show his face. The other one are sleeping maybe. Okay, thanks. It's better like that. So, okay, but I don't know your main interest, in geophysics or seismology, but I think that that I've shown you today could be quite useful for seismologists, because this is especially the second part, with manipulating SAC data and download it and open seed format. When you are seismologist, you have no way. You will have to deal with this format. So here, this is just fast examples, but I think it's quite useful. Okay, so still no question? No? Okay. So I will send to you this presentation, okay, about SpecFEM 2D, this one. And I will also send to you, where it is, okay, here, input files. No, not this one. So this MATLAB for some of you have MATLAB, but I know this is quite expensive software. Not everyone has it, but if you have it, okay, this library to read and write SAC could be useful, and also my two small programs. And I will also send you the 4 videos corresponding to the 4 different examples and all the input files to run SpecFEM 2D for this example. Okay, I think that's it for today. So if you do not still have questions, let me tell you, have a good day. And I think the last session is tomorrow. Yes, it's okay, tomorrow at 11. Okay.
Okay.
So, thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Ciao.